Hey Pisces, I just pulled cards for your energy and something came through that I need to share with you right now. There is a situation that has been playing out around you, something involving someone who held very specific feelings towards you. And when I say specific, I mean there was hatred there was ignorance, there was a deliberate choice to see you in a distorted way. You might already know who I am talking about. Or maybe you have sensed that something has shifted in the energy but have not quite understood what it means yet. Either way, what the cards are showing me is that there has been an intervention. A divine intervention that some people would call karma, but there is something even more powerful at work here. Santa Muerte has stepped into this situation, and when she steps in, she does not do things halfway. She does not just tap someone on the shoulder. She transforms situations in ways that are absolute and undeniable. What I am seeing in your cards today is that this person is in mourning. They have lost something that mattered deeply to them, something they valued, something they thought was secure, something they believed would always be there. And here is what makes this so significant. What they lost is directly connected to how they treated you. The energy they put out, the actions they took, the intentions they held, all of that has circled back in a way that is almost perfectly designed to teach them exactly what they needed to learn. I am going to walk you through the cards one by one so you can see exactly how this unfolded, why it happened, and what it means for you moving forward. Because this is not just about what happened to them. This is about your energy being cleared, your path being protected, and justice being served in a way that you did not have to orchestrate yourself. So let me show you what came through. The first card that came through is the Two of Wands, and this is telling me so much about where this person was standing when they decided to come after you. This card represents planning, decision-making, having the world in your hands, and making choices about which direction to take. But here is the thing that struck me immediately. This person chose their path. They were standing at a crossroads, they had options, they could have chosen the high road, and instead they deliberately chose to act from hatred. When I look at the Two of Wands in this context, I see someone who actually had some power, some influence, some standing in their world. They were not acting from a place of powerlessness. They had choices, they had opportunities. They could have focused on building their own life, their own success, their own relationships, but instead they looked at you and they made a calculated decision to use their energy to try to bring you down. What the Two of Wands is showing me is that this was not impulsive. This was planned. This person sat down and strategized about how they could damage you. They thought about how to hurt your reputation. They considered how to interfere with your relationships. They looked at their resources, their connections, their influence, and they decided to weaponize all of it against you. But here is where the Two of Wands reveals something crucial about karma. When you use your power, your choices, your agency to harm others, you are essentially programming your own future consequences. This person was holding the world in their hands. They had so much potential, so many possibilities, and they chose to use that position to spread hatred and ignorance about you. Think about the energy of ignorance for a moment. Ignorance is not just about not knowing. It is about refusing to know. It is about closing your eyes to truth, to nuance, to the full picture of who someone is. This person chose ignorance. They chose to see you through a distorted lens. They chose to spread that distorted version of you to others. They chose to ignore your humanity, your truth, your actual character. And hatred, well, hatred is one of the most corrosive energies that exists. It eats away at everything it touches. It consumes the person who holds it even more than it affects the person it is directed at. This person was carrying hatred for you in their heart, and they were feeding that hatred, nurturing it, allowing it to guide their actions and their words. The Two of Wands is showing me that they actually had a choice to put that hatred down. They had multiple moments where they could have chosen differently, but they did not. They kept choosing the path of hatred and ignorance over and over again, each choice building on the last, creating this momentum of negativity directed at you. Now, what Santa Muerte does in situations like this is she allows people to experience the full weight of their choices. She does not intervene arbitrarily. She does not punish randomly. She simply ensures that the energy you put out into the world comes back to you in a form that teaches you exactly what you need to learn. So this person who was standing at that crossroads, holding the world in their hands with the Two of Wands, who chose to use their power to attack your reputation and relationships, is now finding that the world they were holding has shifted beneath them in ways they never anticipated. The next card that came through is the Page of Cups, and this is where the reading gets really interesting because the Page of Cups is about messages, emotions, new beginnings in the emotional realm, and vulnerability. When I see this card in connection with what is happening, it is showing me that this person is now in a position where they are receiving messages, hearing things, learning things about how they are perceived. And it is devastating to them. Remember, they attacked your reputation. They tried to make other people see you in a negative light. They spread their ignorance and their hatred through gossip, through manipulation, through strategic campaigns to damage how others perceived you. The Page of Cups is telling me that now the messages are flowing in the opposite direction. People are starting to see through them. The relationships they thought were solid are starting to crack because others are beginning to understand what this person really is. The reputation they thought they had carefully constructed is starting to crumble because the truth has a way of emerging eventually. The Page of Cups often represents someone who is emotionally immature, someone who is just beginning to understand the depth and complexity of emotional truth. And that is exactly where this person finds themselves now. They are being forced to confront emotional realities they were not mature enough to consider when they were attacking you. They are learning that when you poison wells, eventually you have to drink from those wells yourself. They are discovering that the relationships they damaged in your life, they damaged their own relationships too, because people do not trust someone who operates from hatred and ignorance. They are finding out that the reputation they tried to destroy for you has boomeranged back, and their own reputation is now in question. The Page of Cups is also about vulnerability. And this person is experiencing a vulnerability they never anticipated. They thought they were safe. They thought they were protected. They thought their position, their connections, their carefully crafted image would shield them from consequences. But Santa Muerte does not care about images or pretense. She deals in truth, and the truth is now exposing them in ways that leave them completely vulnerable. What I am seeing is that messages are coming to them now. Maybe people are pulling away. Maybe they are hearing feedback about their behavior. Maybe opportunities are disappearing. Maybe relationships are ending. The Page of Cups brings messages from the emotional and intuitive realm. And these messages are showing this person the truth about what they have created through their hatred and ignorance. And here is what makes this particularly powerful. The Page of Cups is a card of beginnings. This is not the end of their consequences. This is the beginning. They are just starting to understand what they have set in motion. They are just beginning to experience the loss that Santa Muerte has orchestrated. This is the first wave of realization, and it is already bringing them to a place of mourning. The third card that appeared is the Wheel of Fortune, and oh Pisces, this is where the divine justice becomes so clear. The Wheel of Fortune is the karma card. It is about cycles, about what goes around comes around, about the inevitable turning of fate and fortune. This card literally represents the cosmic principle that nothing stays the same forever, that everything is cyclical, that those who are up will come down, and those who are down will rise up. When the Wheel of Fortune appears in a reading about karma, it is confirmation that the universe is actively involved in balancing the scales. This is not random chance. This is not coincidence. This is the wheel turning exactly as it is meant to turn, bringing consequences that match actions, creating balance where there was imbalance. Think about what this person did to you. They used their position, their influence, their relationships to try to bring you down. They were experiencing a high point in their life, and instead of using that position with grace and wisdom, they used it to attack you. They were at the top of the wheel, and they used that position to try to push you off. But here is what people forget about the Wheel of Fortune. It always turns. Always. You cannot stay at the top forever, especially if you are using your position at the top to harm others. The wheel turns with divine precision, and it brings you exactly what you need to experience based on what you have put out into the world. For this person, the wheel has turned dramatically. They are experiencing what it feels like to have their reputation damaged. They are experiencing what it feels like to lose relationships. They are experiencing what it feels like to be on the receiving end of the very energy they sent out. The wheel has turned, and Santa Muerte is the one turning it. What makes the Wheel of Fortune so powerful in this context is that it shows this is not personal vindictiveness from the universe. This is simply how things work. This is cosmic law. This is the principle that energy returns to its source, that actions have consequences, that hatred and ignorance cannot create anything but loss and pain for the one who holds them. The Wheel of Fortune is also showing me that you did not have to do anything to make this happen. You did not have to plot revenge. You did not have to scheme to bring them down. You did not have to become like them. You simply had to stay true to yourself, maintain your integrity, and allow the wheel to turn as it always does. This is important for you to understand, Pisces, because I know your nature. I know that part of you might feel guilty or uncomfortable about this person experiencing loss. I know that your compassionate heart might want to somehow soften what is happening to them. But I need you to understand that this is divine justice. This is the universe teaching them what they need to learn. This is not cruelty. This is consequence. And consequence is one of the most important teachers that exists. The Wheel of Fortune is showing me that this turning was inevitable. From the moment they chose hatred and ignorance, from the moment they decided to attack your reputation and relationships, the wheel began to turn. It might have taken time. It might have seemed like they were getting away with it. But the wheel never stops turning, and it always brings balance eventually. Now, the fourth card that came through is the Nine of Swords, and this is where we really see the mourning that is happening. The Nine of Swords is the card of anguish, anxiety, sleepless nights, mental torment, and deep regret. When this card appears, it represents someone who is trapped in their own mind, tormented by their thoughts, unable to escape the reality of what they are facing. This person is not just experiencing external losses. They are experiencing internal torment. They are lying awake at night replaying their actions. They are consumed with anxiety about what else they might lose. They are haunted by the reality of what they have created. The Nine of Swords shows someone in a state of mental and emotional anguish that is almost unbearable. What Santa Muerte has taken from them, their reputation and their relationships, these are not just external things. These are things that affect every moment of their day, every interaction they have, every time they look in the mirror, every time they try to sleep at night. They cannot escape the consequences of what they have done. The Nine of Swords is showing me that they are experiencing deep regret. Not necessarily because they have had a genuine moral awakening, but because they are facing the consequences of their actions, and it is painful. They are seeing what their hatred and ignorance have cost them, and the weight of that realization is crushing. Think about what it means to have your reputation damaged. It means you walk into rooms and you can feel the shift in energy. It means opportunities that used to come easily now do not come at all. It means people who used to respect you now question everything about you. It means your own words and actions are now being interpreted through a lens of suspicion and doubt. And relationships, when you lose relationships that mattered to you, especially multiple relationships, it creates a loneliness that is profound. It creates a sense of isolation. It makes you question who you really are and who you really have in your corner. For someone who valued their social connections, their network, their sense of being surrounded by people, losing that is devastating. The Nine of Swords is telling me that this person is in a state of mourning. They are grieving what they have lost. But here is what makes this different from ordinary grief. This is grief mixed with the knowledge that they caused this themselves. This is grief mixed with regret. This is grief mixed with the understanding that their own hatred and ignorance created the very situation they are now mourning. They cannot blame anyone else. They cannot point fingers. They cannot claim they are victims. Deep down, even if they are not ready to admit it openly, they know that their own choices led to this. And that knowledge is part of what makes the Nine of Swords so torturous. It is one thing to lose something to circumstances beyond your control. It is another thing entirely to lose something because of your own deliberate actions. The Nine of Swords also shows me that they are trapped in a cycle of negative thinking. They are replaying scenarios. They are imagining worst-case scenarios that might still be coming. They are consumed with worry about what else they might lose, who else might turn away from them, what other consequences might still be unfolding. They have lost their peace of mind completely. What is important for you to understand, Pisces, is that this mental torment they are experiencing is part of the teaching. This is part of how consciousness evolves. Sometimes people need to experience deep discomfort before they are willing to look at themselves honestly and change their ways. Sometimes people need to lose what they value most before they understand the value of treating others with respect and compassion. The fifth card is the Fool, and this might seem surprising given everything else we have seen, but this card is actually revealing something really important about where this situation is heading. The Fool represents new beginnings, fresh starts, stepping off a cliff into the unknown, and the innocence or perhaps naivety that comes with starting something new. In this context, the Fool is showing me that this person is being forced into a completely new beginning, whether they want it or not. Santa Muerte has cleared the decks. She has taken away what they valued most. She has dismantled the structures they were relying on, and now they are standing at the edge of something completely new and unknown. But here is what the Fool is really telling me. This person is entering this new beginning without wisdom. They are entering it as the Fool, not the Magician or the Hermit. They have not yet learned the lessons they need to learn. They are still operating from a place of limited understanding. They might be forced into new circumstances, but they have not yet achieved the inner transformation that would allow them to truly grow from this experience. The Fool can represent someone who is naive, someone who does not fully understand the consequences of their actions, someone who might repeat the same mistakes in a new context. And I am seeing that this is a real possibility for this person. They are experiencing consequences, yes. They are mourning what they have lost, yes. But have they really understood why this happened? Have they really taken responsibility for their hatred and ignorance? Have they really transformed at a deep level? The Fool is suggesting that they might not have. They might be standing at the edge of this new beginning, forced there by circumstances, by losses, by karma, but still carrying the same consciousness that created the problems in the first place. They might be ready to step off the cliff into something new, but they might do so without the wisdom that would prevent them from creating similar situations in the future. This is actually a significant teaching from Santa Muerte. She has removed what needed to be removed. She has created the space for transformation. She has delivered the consequences that match the actions. But whether this person actually transforms, whether they actually learn and grow, whether they actually become wiser and more compassionate, that is ultimately up to them. The Fool at the beginning of the journey has pure potential. They could go anywhere, become anything, learn any lesson. But the Fool is also vulnerable to repeating patterns if they do not pay attention, if they do not reflect, if they do not do the deep inner work of transformation. For you, Pisces, the Fool appearing in this reading is showing you that while justice has been served, while karma has done its work, you should not expect this person to suddenly become enlightened. You should not expect them to come to you with genuine apologies or real understanding. They might, but the Fool suggests they probably are not there yet. They are just beginning a journey that could lead to wisdom, but they are starting from a place of not understanding. The sixth and final card is the Ten of Swords, and this card could not be more definitive about what has happened. The Ten of Swords represents a complete ending, a total defeat, the moment when everything comes crashing down and there is no way to deny or avoid what has happened. This is the card of rock bottom, of undeniable endings, of situations that cannot be reversed or salvaged. When I see the Ten of Swords in relation to what Santa Muerte has done, it confirms that what this person has lost is not temporary. This is not a setback they will quickly recover from. This is a fundamental ending of the way things were. Their reputation as they knew it is finished. The relationships they had built are over. The version of themselves they presented to the world has been completely dismantled. The Ten of Swords is often depicted as painful, as dramatic, as a moment of complete defeat. And that is exactly what this person is experiencing. They are flat on the ground, metaphorically speaking, with all 10 swords in their back, unable to deny the magnitude of what has happened to them. But here's what is also important about the Ten of Swords. It represents the end of a cycle. After the Ten of Swords comes the Ace of Swords, a new beginning with clarity and truth. The Ten of Swords clears away everything that needs to be cleared away so that something new and more authentic can begin. For this person, the Ten of Swords is showing that Santa Muerte has brought them to absolute rock bottom. She has taken away what they loved most. She has delivered the full weight of the consequences their hatred and ignorance created. And now they are at the end of that particular story. What they do from here, how they rebuild, whether they learn and grow or repeat their patterns, that is the next chapter. But this chapter, the chapter where they could operate from hatred and ignorance without consequences, that chapter is completely finished. For you, Pisces, the Ten of Swords is confirming that you do not need to worry about this person continuing to harm you. Their power to damage your reputation has been neutralized. Their ability to interfere with your relationships has been taken away. Santa Muerte has intervened definitively, and the threat this person posed is now ended. So let me bring all of these cards together for you and help you understand the full picture of what is happening. Someone who had power and choices, who stood at a crossroads with the world in their hands, deliberately chose to use that power to attack you. They chose hatred over love. They chose ignorance over understanding. They chose to focus their energy on damaging your reputation and poisoning your relationships. That was their choice, represented by the Two of Wands. They made that choice consciously, repeatedly, investing time and energy into trying to bring you down. But karma, represented by the Wheel of Fortune, is an unstoppable force. The wheel always turns. The energy you put out always returns. The universe always balances the scales eventually. And Santa Muerte, that powerful force of divine justice and transformation, has intervened in this situation. What she has done is taken from them exactly what they tried to take from you. Their reputation, which they tried to destroy yours, is now damaged. Their relationships, which they tried to poison yours, are now lost. The irony is absolute. The justice is perfect. The karma is precise. Now they are receiving messages, represented by the Page of Cups, about how they are truly perceived. Now they are vulnerable in ways they never anticipated. Now they are at the beginning of understanding what their choices have cost them. They are experiencing mental torment, represented by the Nine of Swords. They cannot sleep. They cannot find peace. They are replaying their actions and facing the reality of what they have created. They are mourning what they have lost, and that mourning is mixed with the bitter knowledge that they caused this themselves. They are being forced into a new beginning, represented by the Fool, standing at the edge of the unknown, stripped of what they relied on, facing a future they did not choose and cannot control. But they are entering this new phase without wisdom, still naive, still potentially capable of repeating their patterns if they do not do the deep work of transformation. And all of this is happening under the shadow of the Ten of Swords, the card of absolute endings and undeniable consequences. This is not temporary. This is not a minor setback. This is the complete dismantling of the structures they built through hatred and ignorance. What Santa Muerte has shown them, what karma has delivered, is a profound teaching about the cost of operating from hatred and ignorance. You cannot attack others without attacking yourself. You cannot spread darkness without getting lost in that darkness yourself. You cannot diminish others without diminishing your own life in the process. For you, Pisces, this reading is not about gloating or celebrating someone else's pain. This is about recognition that the universe has its own systems of balance and justice. This is about understanding that you did not need to fight back. You did not need to seek revenge. You did not need to become like them. You simply needed to stay true to yourself and allow divine justice to unfold in its own way and its own time. What happened to this person is the result of their own choices. They planted seeds of hatred and ignorance, and now they are harvesting the consequences of those seeds. Santa Muerte did not act arbitrarily. She simply allowed the natural consequences of their actions to manifest fully. The mourning they are experiencing is real. The losses they have suffered are significant. But these losses are teachers. These consequences are opportunities for growth if this person is willing to do the work of looking at themselves honestly and transforming their consciousness. Will they transform? That remains to be seen. The Fool suggests they are just at the beginning of that journey, and they have not yet gained the wisdom they need. But the possibility exists. Rock bottom, as painful as it is also the foundation from which genuine transformation can begin. For you, the message is clear. Your reputation and your relationships, which this person tried so hard to damage, are protected now. The threat is neutralized. The karma has been delivered. You can move forward knowing that divine justice has been served, and you are free to focus on your own growth, your own relationships, your own life, without this person's negative energy affecting you. Trust in the wisdom of the universe. Trust in the power of karma. Trust in the intervention of Santa Muerte when justice needs to be served. And most importantly, trust in your own integrity and your own path. You did not need to compromise who you are to deal with this person. You simply needed to stay true to yourself, and the universe took care of the rest. That is the power of living with integrity. That is the protection that comes from operating from a place of love and truth, rather than hatred and ignorance. That is the peace that comes from knowing that you do not need to fight every battle yourself, because the universe has systems in place to ensure that balance is maintained and justice is served. So take a deep breath, Pisces. Acknowledge what has happened. Recognize the divine intervention that has occurred on your behalf, and then release the situation and this person. They are on their own journey now, learning the lessons they need to learn. You can continue on your path, free from their influence, protected by divine justice, and supported by the universe in building the life and the relationships you truly deserve.